What is up, YouTube? My name is Eben, and today I'm bringing you something pretty special. I have brought it to a couple of League Cup / League Challenges recently. It did pretty well. It's a lot of fun to play. It is Primarina GX, which in many ways is kind of a water utility deck, but featuring Primarina allows it to do some really cool things. It gives you a tremendous amount of bulk, because let's take a look at this thing. We got 250 HP. 250 HP. That's how much Wailord EX has. So that's pretty bulky. And the main attack we're concerned with is the first one, Bubble Beat. It's 2 colorless, so that's an easy requirement to meet for an attack. It's 10 damage, and then it's 20 more for every water on all your Pokemon put together. So if we're racking up energies around on all our Pokemon pretty easily, we can distribute them so our opponent can't take them all out on one Mon. And we have a lot of damage in the mid to late game, which is what makes Primarina kind of shine. It's something you're going to kind of set up with things like Palkia EX for a couple of turns, and then you're going to start bashing things and they can't overcome Primarina. You do have a 4 energy attack in Roaring Seas if you really need to. That's 120 and a guaranteed energy removal, which isn't bad. And the GX attack on this Mon heals all damage from all your Pokemon. And we do kind of have a rough seas, let's heal ourselves kind of theme going on with this deck. But usually we're probably not going to be firing our Grand Echo, but it's still nice to have access to and can be relevant in the right situation. So that's cool. So we're running 3 Primarina GXs because that's really all you're gonna need. And to support that, we've got 1 Brioni because we're only we're mainly going to be relying on our rare candies, but this can help us just in case we see something scary like Vileplume that could shut us down. And we're running 4 Poplio. I'm just using the basic Poplio from the set because it's the most robust. It's more robust than the promo because it's got 70 HP instead of 60. So got that because we definitely want to get that out on the board. So 4 is the way to go. We're running 2 Palkias. We have a lot of deck searching, and Manaphy is going to give us access to free retreats, so 2 Palkia EX is just fine. His Aqua Turbo is pretty much the only reason he's here. Lets you set up 2 energy. It's sort of like a Lurantis in a lot of ways, except it goes into the deck, and that's pretty cool, and it's a basic, so that's awesome. We've got, speaking of Manaphy, we've got 2 Manaphy that are here pretty much exclusively for their Aqua Tube. As long as there's a water energy on one of your Mons, you get free retreat, which is awesome. You don't mind leading this, even though it's a utility Mon. If this is your starting Pokemon, you can easily just attach an energy to this guy, play max elixirs on your bench, and then free retreat out at the end of your turn. So Manaphy is one of those nice utility Pokemon that you don't mind starting the game with, so that's pretty cool. We're also running 1 Lapras GX. Free retreat from Manaphy is very useful on Lapras because of its Blizzard burn not allowing you to attack during your next turn, so you can bash somebody for 160, free retreat out with Manaphy, say maybe set up an Aqua Tube with Palkia again, or finish somebody off with Primarina. You can switch between Lapras and Primarina if you need to. And Lapras's GX attack is probably the one you're going to use. It's 100 damage and a guaranteed paralysis, so it's a 2-hit KO on something you don't want to retaliate, basically. So that's really nice. It forces your opponent to either drop a switch or something like that if they run it, or versus Secret the Olympia, or just let the thing go down without getting to attack you back. We are also running Glaceon. This is a very good card in a meta that, from the last couple events I used this at, is definitely shaping up to be very GX evolution heavy. This thing's Crystal Ray is a great way to control those things. And Second Bite can also help pick up 2-hit KOs as well if Crystal Ray's not going to quite have the damage output. So it's a very, very nice Mon right now. So I definitely encourage you to run that Glaceon. It's very, very powerful, very important. And we can set it up, even though we don't run double colorless energy in this deck, we can still set up its Crystal Ray pretty easily with max elixirs and Palkia. We're also running 1 Regice, because even though GXs are out there in pretty good numbers right now, honestly, this thing is still very useful against Darkrai, Giratina, Yveltal EX, Volcanion. All those decks do not particularly like dealing with this guy, so he's still a nice utility to have hanging around. And if all else fails, he's a 1 prize Mon that you can use as a speed bump for your opponent, so he's got uses. And finally, we are running 1 Shaman just to have as an Ultra Ball target, because setting up draw power is pretty crucial in those first few turns. The game is pretty setup heavy right now, and Shaman, you just really need it, but running just the 1 is good. I might have opted for Octillery, but there's honestly just not the room in the build. So that's your Pokemon lineup, pretty straightforward there. And your supporter lineup is similarly really straightforward. We've opted for 4 Professor Sycamore because that's just the best draw card in the game pretty much right now. We are running 3 Ns because it's also good draw power, and it's a nice way to keep from discarding things like Primarina if you don't want to, and Water Energies, you don't want to discard them necessarily because you want them in your deck for Palkia. So that's a nice draw option as well. We're running one Professor Kukui. Drawing 2 cards is nice, but obviously it's the plus 20 that can be very helpful. It can help things like, say, Lapras GX pick up those KOs, bumping you from 160 to 180 damage and so on. It can help you snatch up KOs your opponent doesn't quite think you've got because you're 10 or 20 short. So a very nice, very Versus Seeker, a bowl supporter right there. We're also running one copy of Lysander for all the obvious reasons. Go get stuff from your opponent, knock it out. Pretty straightforward there. And we are also running an Olympia. It might seem counterintuitive in a deck where we're using a Pokemon to create free retreats all the time, but it does make a lot of sense because for one thing, it allows you to, since you can only retreat once per turn, obviously you can take a Pokemon like Lapras GX out of the active slot in Olympia to bring it back in. You can use this 30 healing to surprising advantage, definitely to your advantage under the right circumstances. So it's pretty important. And when you can't retreat because you've been statused or something like that, like you're asleep, obviously Olympia can get around that. It's a very good utility. And in case you don't have a Manaphy set up, it can also be a way for heavy retreat Pokemon to get out without having to pay a big retreat cost. So that's all your supporters, just 10. And to make sure that those 10 supporters do get utilized kind of to their maximum here, we are, of course, running 4 Versus Seekers. I really like the trainer lineup in this deck because it's very straightforward. It's really nice, really consistent. We're running 4 Dive Balls because with the exception of Shaman, everything in the deck is water, and this allows you to just really plow through your deck, get the right mon at the right time pretty reliably. We are also running 3 Ultra Balls, though, just to increase our ability to search the deck. And at the same time, obviously, these can be used to go fetch that Shaman in the event that you should need it, which, let's face it, a lot of times you will be wanting that Shaman for that card draw. So still pretty darn useful. Gets you anything you need, of course. So you can use it for those water types anyway. We're running 4 Max Elixirs because we want to get those water energies out fast and make sure Primarina GX is happy and hitting for heavy damage. These can also be used to power things up for early attacks. I mean, you can even fire off Palkia on your first turn if you can land 2 Max Elixirs onto it and use your manual attachment to get your active Pokemon to retreat for free with Manaphy. So definitely a very good card in this deck. 3 Rare Candies, pretty obvious there. 3 Rare Candies because we got 3 Primarinas. We've got 3 copies of Rough Seas because, like I say, this deck's got a lot of bulk and we can take hits. We can take... Most things meant to be OHKOs aren't going to OHKO you, especially with Primarina, and a lot of things that are meant to be 2-hit KOs may not even be able to 2-hit KO you. And you can free retreat things out to the bench after they take big hits, Rough Seas them for a couple of turns. Really just make it very hard for your opponent to pick up those KOs, which is very nice. And of course this disrupts other people's stadiums too, which is nice. And our final item is Super Rod, mainly just to get back your water energies. If somebody gets knocked out, like let's say Primarina goes down, you're going to lose 2 water energies. This can restock your deck, but it can get you crucial Pokemon as well if you need to. So that's your non-supporter trainer lineup. There are only 7 different cards, different numbers of each, of course, but this deck can play out pretty quickly, which is really nice. I like that. And finally, we've got 12 basic water energies. That's it. We don't really want the splash energies. Energy removal is kind of a thing right now, and it's not really worth it because we're trying to keep our Pokemon from being knocked out, not like retrieve them once they get knocked out. So really there's no cause for it. It's just kind of an added vulnerability. Basic water energies are fine, and they're of course elixir targets, whereas the special energies aren't. 12 works pretty darn well. You might be able to get away with squeaking in a 13th. That's up to you. But anyway, I recommend you play this at your local. It's a lot of fun. Primarina's not getting as much attention. It's kind of, I think more and more people are starting to play it like online, which is cool. But definitely kind of a sleeper deck. If Lurantis ends up declining in popularity a little bit, this deck could be something, definitely something to be watching out for. So anyway, until next time, like, comment, subscribe, check out my channel for more videos, and I will see you next time.